Today I am reviewing Cube Quest by Gamewright Games, and it is a dexterity dice flipping game for 2 players. And I have laid out here the beginnings of a game and show you the components here. What you find in the box is you have these 2 different mats that are mouse pad type quality material, and then you have 25 dice for each color. All of the dice are not played in each game. We'll get into that in a minute, but the mats are slightly different. You'll notice in design, in the layout of how they decided to decorate each map or mat. Each one does have a castle, and the dice for each player is identical in their abilities and number and everything according to the original game. If you get into the advanced play, that's when you get into some of the other dice, and you may have different ones depending on what you choose. Each opponent has a king die, which is your most important piece in the game. But anyway, you have a 1 page of rules. The game is very, very easy to learn, self-explanatory really. As soon as you figure out what some of the easy gameplay things are, the game will go really quickly for you. The back side goes into what each of the cubes or dice do. Some of them have special abilities, which you'll get into some of the more advanced play. There's also another cube or dice guide that gives all the information there as well. In the box, basically, you have little indentations for everyone's dice. These are some of the advanced die, and the box is great. It fits everything quite nicely. One thing that I will comment on is that the mats, some of the mats have, I can't really tell in this one, they aren't really that bad, but some of the mats got creased in shipping because you have to fold them up to fit in the box. And Gamewright has done a great job with their customer service in providing replacement mats to those who feel that they need a replacement mat, that the creases were too bad or something like that. And they come, I think they're sending them kind of rolled up into in a rolled up fashion so that they don't have the creases. And it sounds like they may even be looking at repackaging the game in the future as well. So something to be made aware of. But if you do get a game and you come out and the mats are kind of creased, don't freak out. Just contact Gamewright and they'll be happy to replace those for you. So really nice to work with there. The quality of the die, it may be hard to tell on here, but basically what it is it's a really light plastic die, and the die have different faces on them, and the number of faces for each kind will vary. So the main meat of the game are your grunts here. And as you notice, you'll have some that have faces on them that you can tell. They kind of look like little ogre type guys called grunts. Anyway, and so you'll notice that they have 2 sides where you can see the picture clearly. All the other sides are kind of a shadow of that face. And that will get into play when you are flicking dice over to your opponent's side. The strikers here, they, if you notice, have a lot more faces with the clear faces. They just have one that has kind of the shadowy face. And we'll get into that in here in just a second. So basically though, you know, you can place the box works fairly well. Place this so you can't see what your opponent is doing. And then you go ahead and you set up your side of the board however you'd like to. In the original game, you're going to have 4 of these strikers, 12 of the grunts, and your king. The king gets placed somewhere inside the castle. And then you can do anything with these die. You can stack them up and make a wall in front. As you can see, we kind of already have it set up. You know, they kind of created a wall. So it's, you know, a lot of the different components and play, a lot of replayability in the fact that you aren't confined to certain areas to place your pieces really all that much. So as soon as everyone's set up, you can remove the, you know, divider in between, or you can do it without dividers and kind of do it real time and give it a time limit. There's a lot of different ways that you can reorganize the game to make each game new. But basically what you're trying to do is you're going to take turns flicking die and flicking at the opponent, trying to knock off your opponent pieces. Now if you notice, I flicked it, I got some, knocked one of the die off over there, and my die landed here on the opponent's side of the mat. Now it landed up as you would foresee with the grunt, with only 2 sides. It actually landed up on one of the shadow faces. And that's the captured side of the die. And what you do then is, since it was captured, what I have to do is I re-roll that, and if it happens to land face up like it did there, I would be able to keep the die and place it somewhere inside my castle for future use. Now if I were to roll the die, man, I'm lucky tonight. If I were to roll the die and again shows captured, then that piece is removed from gameplay for the rest of the game. So you win by knocking off your opponent's king off of the board. The 12 grunts and the 4 strikers don't have any special abilities, but like I said, the strikers are more easily kept alive on your opponent's side, and so used as good offensive pieces. It's nice to keep some of those for later in the game so you can attack there. The grunts, it doesn't matter if they're captured side face up on your side, so they're great for defense or a really just kind of, you have a lot of them so you can kind of spendable pieces in offense. But yeah, that's the game, and you just go back and forth. The king does have an ability, actually. If the king gets knocked off, say he's really close out here, instead of taking a turn to flick your die, you can move him back into the castle somewhere. And really that's the game, and it's a very, very enjoyable game. It has some good strategy components to it as well. It's very light though, very easy to learn, especially with just these pieces here. Once you get into the special ability die, it really doesn't get that much more complicated. Like if you choose to have a healer, then sometime throughout the game you can use a healer to re-roll some of the die that were, you know, destroyed or captured, removed from the game. You can re-roll those, and if they come up, you know, face up, then you get to put them back into your game. You have these guys here, which are pretty cool. They're little stealthy guys. So if you're on your opponent's side, you can actually go ahead and remove them from the board, and at a later time place them anywhere, not on the castle or in the castle, but you can place them on your opponent's side. The knight guys, they can flick twice. If the first flick is they're still on your side of the board, you can flick them again. The freeze guys that remind me of the Disney Hercules movie with the Titans. Anyway, the freeze guys can you can actually place them on opponent dies, and these two pieces, those two cubes or die, cannot be flicked by red until you somehow get that die off of the top of them. So the advanced play adds a lot of fun to it as well. Players basically select the die that they want to use for 40 points, and you'll see it gives you the cube, captured sides, so that's the kind of shadowy faces, and the cost of each one. So the king, you have to have the king, it doesn't cost anything. The strikers are 4, those are 4, 3. The grunts, are cheap for 2. Really easy game to learn, lots of fun. I'm going to go ahead and give this game 3 fingers up, or 8 out of 10. If you like dexterity games, go ahead and give this one a go. I really love dice as well, so it's really good that way. I enjoy the strategy involved with the flicking of the dice and when to flick, and what to, in the advanced, what to spend your money on or points on to set up your army. Play around with different setups. There's a lot of different things that you can do, like I thought about moving these mats further away, putting create a little paper section here. They could have a bridge, and so you could either flick across here, and if it makes it there, it's fine, but if it gets flicked to where there isn't a piece of bridge, then they're destroyed. So you kind of have a collection here maybe in the bridge. You can do a lot of different things to make the game your own. And the quality of die, I mean, they're light, they're plastic, which is good for the purpose of the game, because you're flicking these things. You don't want to really be flicking really heavy die. I have heard some issues with some of these peeling off, but not much. I mean, it's printed off and on there. I mean, I can foresee that maybe being an issue, but for what it is a really fun game, and I hope you check it out.